Thank you everybody to come to my mastery. My name is Alexander Tucker Jr., but I go by many nicknames from my family. And yeah, without further ado, I introduce my panel members. Now, the people that are on here and people that are not on here are the people that helped me throughout my life and make me into a better man than I am today, with just problem solving, critical thinking, and anything goes to that. They helped me with that, and I thank them so much. So of course, I have my informatics major teacher and my used to be technical theater teacher, Miss Penn, Mr. Davenport, which was my forensic science teacher who couldn't make it, and then my beautiful family over here, my parents, grandparents, and my aunt Sherry. Now I will get into my breath work, which is basically the projects that we did from 2023 to up until now, and discussing about, well, the data science and how we got into that. So the first project that we did was a GPA calculator using Microsoft Excel on a spreadsheet. This basically calculates a grade point average for the South Carolina grading scale. As you can see, it calculates the college prep, honors, and even AP. And the VLOOKUP is a function that looks up anything from one sheet to another. First time using this, well, not the first time I've seen it, but the first time I've used it, and I was a little confused and shocked. Going in to just calculate how it even worked, I pressed a bit of buttons, and then once some numbers popped up, I'm like, oh, okay. The 21st century skill I had to learn was adaptability, not only just of this technology that we use, but the adaptability in the classroom and adapting into the environment. The second project that we did was the Bath and Body Works inventory, which was our first project with other people in collaboration that we used Microsoft Excel again, and basically able to track down any data easier and not just flipping through papers of like what items that have been sold, ordered, and the total quantity. Right here are the items of candles. We have a eucalyptus, vanilla bean, and sprinkled birthday cake. This was our first collaboration one, which I had to work a little bit on, but I've always loved talking to people and collaborating with my team. So that wasn't too hard, but presenting was the worst. I couldn't even give out one sentence for the death of me. It was a lot. But I am so thankful of that project, of just learning my ropes and be able to learn how to present better, and thanks to my teacher over here. And yeah, that was beautiful. This other project is the health insurance maintenance, basically marketing and the company's position right here. This is Microsoft Access, which is something completely new that I never even knew what the heck that was. But it's showing state ID and some other stuff that I can't really see, and basically showing dashboards of that. Using this was a little different, I have to say, because I worked with queries and just writing type of things just to give out a dashboard such as that through Microsoft Access. And the one thing I did learn was technology concepts, learning and growing from one technology to another and getting the ropes and how to learn how to do that. Now this last project that we did was a fail, but we did prevail. We were able to start a ticket mastering thing, which is creating a website for purchasing tickets for a movie, basically using HTML code. This is the HTML code. I worked with it a bit back in sophomore year, but since it was my first time back in the way, I had to remind myself or relearn how to even do this. And building a web page for a practice start. I was able to build it, but it looked trashy, so I'm just gonna stick away from that. But I learned problem solving with this, not only problem solving with the code, but problem solving how to have a front end or a back end to any type of coding situation. And yeah, it was a bit of a flop, and we pushed it to the side, of course, so we were all stuck. Now, the good part. Music It's one of my favorite things, and I've always been a history at it. And I've always wanted to know, how do I inject music within data? And basically just injecting with record sales, potential progress in careers, or just the income of revenue or anything. And today I'm here to talk about Black artists and the obstacles that they went through in the business. But before we get into that, we have our two groups that we're going to be talking about. We have De La Soul, which consisted of 3 members. The guy in the middle who passed away just 2 years ago, that's Trugoy the Dove. Posdnuos with the glasses and yellow shirt, and then that's Maceo over there with the blue. Wu-Tang Clan, look at there. That's a lot of people I know. I'm right. Yes, I would name all of them because I do. There's RZA, there's GZA, we have ODB over here, we have U-God, we have Inspector Deck, we have Raekwon, Ghostface Killah, Method Man. I said Inspector Deck, right? Master Killer, and Cappadonna. It gets confusing, but that's the part that I love about it. There's so many things. So before I even get into any of that, I would like to describe the business in record deals. First, we have your artist and repertoire, which is just the A&R, and those are the people who recruit musicians that align with the brand direction or even goals at that. Approaching and identifying the talent that they have and helping out for a long-term potential career. Marketing and promotion is a starred one because we're going to be talking about that, or where labels are able to market and promote an artist so they can have a target audience. Music and record production, they are the people that help with finalizing the sound of an album with engineers, audios, and even giving you equipment or studios time. Artists in development and creative decision are the people that help with your look and refining your style and your sound. And that goes to artworks on album covers, it goes to even music videos, and it also goes into the music. Legal and financial management are the people that help with negotiations and helping with music royalties and clearing samples so we don't have to get copyrighted. Tour management are the people who are able to be with you with tour and have those shows and tours ready for you. And communication and representation are the people who help with negotiations, either just through email, phone calls, so you can just worry about promoting your music and they can worry about the other business. And merchandise and brand partnerships are the people helping with merchandising and helping with partnerships of other brands and campaigns. So one big hitter would be promotion on an artist. Promotion on an artist is really important. You're the people that's trying to give them an audience and help start this fandom, I guess. And we have these two people over here. So this is GZA, or the Genius at the time, and RZA, who was Prince Rakeem. They were under different labels, which was Cold Chillin' and Tommy Boy, which we'll go back to Tommy Boy Records. And this was his first album and their first EP. And they were able to have their foot in the industry and were able to have this somewhat success. But that fell flat due to lack of promotions and lack of marketing, which caused their sales to lack as well. So right here is a chart I have of Black people and the agreements of progression. Over 75% think that the progression of music and their careers just start off slow due to record labels not being able to push them or market them at a good price or good place. And I think one thing that is important in the record label that can help benefit them is promotion on an artist. You're able to have a target audience and be able to let their name grow. And that's one point at least. Our second major point is our personal style, creative sound, and just being you. This is important because, well, it's you. You're being creative and you're being the authentic self that you are. As we have right here, we have the Genius and we have Prince Rakeem back in the day. So this is basically how they were presented with their label, and the Genius was more like a smooth operator type, slick talker. And then we have Prince Rakeem, who literally had a song that he has too many ladies, he has to learn how to say no. So pretty much the labels kind of push this type of sound and type of style on them because, well, maybe they think it was just right, or maybe it should be fine. But obviously, after a while, they just really wasn't going for this type of look. As you can see, the Genius is in red for his lead song on a cassette tape called Come Do Me. You would never want to do a photo like that at all. This little photo of him just with the smirk, that's not even him. And Prince Rakeem with a top hat and a tuxedo. Right off the bat, I'm looking at it, it's gimmicky already. And he agreed that it was just too whimsical for his style, and they think they were being dumbed down a bit. And I think this is important because I feel the need that you shouldn't be able to just force upon some type of style or some type of way that just fits for everybody else. Because these are new people under new art labels, and they're trying to have something to bring new. Now, De La Soul, it was a little different. They had their style. This was them. These outfits, even their first album, 3 Feet High and Rising, this was their style. They were being themselves. And that's important too, because it's just three black brothers who are trying to be themselves and bring positivity and light to the world within their music. Usually with their style in the 80s, at least, you would have your thick gold chain, your Adidas, or maybe a leather jacket or some sort. They were being different because although they were inspired by the culture of hip hop and even just lyrics on top of that, they wanted to be themselves as well and bring something new to life. But the media ruined that for them due to them calling them hippies of hip hop, and that's what they were not trying to have. Basically, they have their little daisy right here, as you can see, for their Daisy Age, which stands for their inner sound. The inner sound is pretty much your soul and giving out themselves how they have that. Giving out. So, after a while, 2 years of being called hippies and having their name and pretty much idea misinterpreted, they think they had to change. So they decided to go back to the drawing board and start to switch it up entirely. And by their second album, you see a pot of dead daisies, calling the end of the Daisy Age. They were just trying to bring light and bring something new to the table to have authenticity of themselves, but the media ruined that for them, so they kind of dumbed down their outfits. It's nothing like, it's just, regular jackets and just jeans. And I think this is also important because a lot of stories be misinterpreted a lot, and it can just cause anybody to up and switch how they are. This is a chart of black people who feel like they need to change, and it's a good selection of all and females of black artists trying to change their appearance and having to at certain costs. This is something that I wish that would just stop and we can move on forward to listen to what people have to say and listen to their ideas and not just force something else or take it out of proportion. Now, the last one is music royalties, which I think this is a heavy hitter and very important. And basically, royalties are payments made of songwriters, publishers, record labels of copyright use. And catalog owning as well comes in play with that because that is your work. So we're back to Tommy Boy Records. We never left. And these are the 6 albums that De La Soul did under Tommy Boy. As you can see, they had 6 wonderful albums and they had success. Although they did have a moment in this album where they got sued by a band named The Turtles due to copyright in one of their songs called Transmitting Live from Mars. And that is very important in history because that literally starts what copyright is and to everything else. And Tommy Boy was under a major record company called Warner Bros. Music, pretty much saying that, and after years of, I don't know, being together, the venture that they had and the contracts that they had died out and it ended, which meant Warner Bros. Were collecting these albums for them. And after they wanted their music back as themselves, they decided to have their own record label, AOI. And they released these two albums, The Grind Day and The Anonymous Nobody, 2004 and 2016. So, of course, after some years, Tommy Boy was able to buy their catalog back from Warner Bros., but only in a few costs that they weren't getting anything well, and the negotiations just didn't work well. And owning the music was a total mess. So, with that, this is the difference of black artists versus white artists and getting 100% income from music because of revenue. There's only under 40% of black artists that are able to keep 100%, and over 70 that think that white artists are actually able to have a full income. This is important because, well, this is your music and this is everything that you paid, that you worked hard on, and just for something to happen like that where a company is able to keep your music, it's just upsetting to me. And I think that's something that we should stop. And so back to De La Soul. In the 2010s, we have your Spotify and your Apple Music, and streaming things online is something new. And they negotiated with Tommy Boy, but, well, I'll let y'all see for yourself. So, as the artist, that is how much revenue they get. This blue, and then this red is like the rest of where the labels and the record company goes to. Now, it is a big difference, but for streaming revenue, this was the norm. However, De La Soul was pretty much the first group that stepped their foot down and be like, we want more than this, because they spent many years of just trying to have their own catalog, many troubles with sampling, and they wanted to keep majority of their music. Who wouldn't want to keep majority of your music? That's your baby, pretty much. And that's one thing that should be able to, look closer at for that reason, because owning music is something very important, and that you'll be able to share the fans. So that why many years they haven't had majority of their catalog on there. It was just the two, Grind Day and Anonymous Nobody, that was even on streaming services. But there is some good in this. So remember Prince Rakeem and the Genius? Well, they got their cousin in, and they decided to bring some other friends and change their names. Prince Rakeem dropping his name, becoming the RZA, the Genius becoming the GZA, and A-Song becoming ODB, and having their friends over, they were able to make the all-known group Wu-Tang Clan. They were able to make 6 albums, including 2 others that are not on here, but for 30 years they were able to shake the world and change the game. And even with RZA's 5-year plan of signing them as a group and solo artists, so each individual artist can go make an album under different record labels. These are the 6 albums that they made under Loud Records, and they ended up having triple platinum and quadruple platinum for these 2 albums right here. And as for De La Soul, it was a bittersweet moment. After many years of trying to negotiate good plans and clear samples up, they were finally able to release their full catalog on streaming services. And March 3rd was the date, 2023. I say bittersweet because just a month prior, Trugoy the Dove, passed away back on February 12th of that year at age 54 due to heart congestive failure. Now, of course, it was still sad, but they knew, but the remaining 2 made sure that they would continue not only their legacy as De La Soul, but De La's and Trugoy's contributions. That's why when you go on their Instagram and you see "Thank you, Dave," they're giving thanks to their older brother right here. Now, this slide is for pretty much anyone who even wants to join or wants to be a producer, singer, songwriter. And I say don't be afraid. Not just putting your music out there, but signing to a record label. There comes pros and cons with signing into a record label, but it's also with that as well being an independent artist. Although you get 100% of profits and everything as independent, being under a record label, they are able to help give you the type of resources and the people that you can work with. So I say don't be afraid, because I'm not trying to scare anybody from being a record label, but you just gotta watch out. Those contracts, you gotta have people with you and read them well. It's like terms and conditions. You guys to read them. I barely read them, but it's not. So I want to thank everybody for coming. I appreciate all of y'all coming here, and yeah, thank y'all for waking up for the reality of record.
All right. So for this part, we will have some questions and comments. So we'll start with our panel first. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions or make comments, and then we'll toss it back to our classmates and friends back there for questions and comments. All right? Anybody want to start? I'll be happy to start if that makes things easier. But okay, good. Go ahead. Go for it.
Hi, Mom. When it comes to being independent versus being with a record label, is that like SoundCloud, or like how do if I want to be a singer, could I just like upload my stuff to Spotify and not even deal with a record label?
I mean, yes, you can. You can always, post your stuff on SoundCloud or Spotify. A lot of people actually do it, and that's how a lot of artists, even nowadays, even got signed or even get their names so big. But being a record label, it's not supposed to be like a degrading or just like, this is way better than this, but it's just different types of approaches with it, because not only you have like other resources with that, you are able to have many contacts and networking when it comes to record labels, and they have access for that for you as an artist.
I'll break the ice a little bit more. First of all, congratulations. I agree with you. You have come so far in presentation skills. Congratulations, because I hadn't really thought about it until you mentioned it, but those first couple, AJ was like, I don't know what to say.
Even start a
You were like, I think you did one slide, the first one. You're like, yeah, this is my slide, and that was it.
Yeah, I just did the introduction, and even that I couldn't even think of a word to say.
Yeah. So you've come so incredibly far in your presentation skills. You just talked for 25 minutes all by yourself. How about that? That's crazy. We talked about like setting up that structure for talking about the projects. That first project, fantastic. I mean, chef's kiss, like getting in like what we did and the technology and the 21st century skills. That was all really fantastic. I love how every time we get to music, you just light up. It's like you just shift into like fifth gear as soon as we get to anything about music. I love that. Oh, yeah. And it's what I really encourage students to always do, is choose something that you'll be motivated for a whole semester, and you absolutely did that. Can you flip back to your very first chart for promotion data? It'll be a little ways back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you good. It's a little slow. So.
Oh, that's all right. It's old computers, There we go. Okay. So, will you talk to me about where this data came from?
Yes, this data came from a lot of other people, from a website actually, which came from a lot of Black people who just voted on and doing surveys, and that's how they were able to determine these charts.
Right, so surveys of specifically Black artists in the music industry.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, this was from the UK, right?
Yes.
Okay, so because as we were looking for data, it was hard to find this data for the US. Yeah. So this is survey data of Black artists who are working right now.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Can we go to De La Soul?
Okay. Yeah,
First of all,
Which
don't be
one?
hating on my mixtapes now. I heard you like cassette tape, like that was a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Come on.
I wasn't trying to guess.
So what I just wanted to kind of highlight that sort of struck me that this time as you talked is these images, because when we found that data about how many of those Black artists felt like they had been really pushed to change their image, I look at these images and then go to the next ones.
They look sad.
Oh, don't they? I was like, that just sort of hit me in the gut. That I was like, these people had to sacrifice something or give up something. It's an enormous difference with how much joy we see in those previous album covers and whatnot, and just their facial expressions and what they choose, and you can really see that this is an effort to conform to somebody else's vision, and that hadn't really sort of hit me as hard before. I don't know that you had these pictures in here back to back when we practiced, did we?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I put them in
Yeah.
the day after or something.
Yeah. And then go to the one that shows us the data that supports this.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like 2 minutes. Just
Yeah, the percentage of artists who felt like they were pressured or needed to change their appearance. That's huge to me. I think that those 3 images in a row are really impactful. I think you put that together really nicely. We talk a lot about data storytelling and how you tell us what the story is and then support that with the data, and that is exactly how that should be done. Would you mind telling us what your future plans are?
Oh, yeah. So I'm thinking of going to HGTC for cybersecurity, but on top of that, I will be producing beats on the side.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
You have to keep the arts in your life.
Yeah, I gotta hide that bit, and then once I take off,
Yeah,
just
that's
right
right.
in your face, you know?
That's right.
I'm surprised.
Do you think that you will be a wiser business person because of what you've studied here?
I feel like since I know what I'm doing, I'm definitely gonna be calling in some people just to like look over what's going on and even just looking carefully on contracts.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because we've figured out that the data will get you
Oh, yeah.
sometimes, right?
Oh yeah.
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 Cool. Well, we'll go back down the table here. If anyone, and I didn't say this, you can just give him 100. I mean, your grade, your family should always give 100. That grade doesn't count toward his actual grade, but you're welcome to what?
Mom and teacher.
Uh-oh.
It's
Mom
not-
and grandmama like give me the stink eye.
Zero. No.
I'll give him the grade. Like you can. So we'll move down there to your end of the table. Anybody else want to ask a comment ask a question or give feedback?
Yes.
Please do.
Alexander, I found your information was very moving, because being a fan and coming from the time when these guys was coming along making a name for themselves, that from the view that I saw as a fan, you never realized all this stuff behind the scenes was happening to them. So I definitely appreciate the way you presented the information, because there's more to anything that you see than what you see with the eyes.
Yeah.
And grandson, I am so proud of you, because at home you are full of fun and you always throwing out these little bits of information, but this was a lot of information all at once.
Oh yeah.
And you gave it to us, and I actually could follow along.
Thank you.
So thank you, Miss Penn. You have been doing a lot down here.
Thank you. I
Bringing this
appreciate it.
this young fella get out that shell.
He's doing the work. He's been doing the work.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I think our class agrees. We got so many fun facts that we were like, you got to put this all in order. Yeah.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Okay.
For sure.
And I will say that AJ and I talked so many times about, you know what, like a sunny disposition he has, right? He's always going to the positive, whatever. And so as we would look at data, and I would be like, AJ, it looks to me like, do you think any of this like early failure had anything to do with them being black? And he'd be like, I don't know. And I was like, he's the sweetest soul. Like, he never wanted to, I'm the one who's like going, I think there might have been a little bit of aggression here. And AJ never wanted that to be true, which is why he's so beautiful, And if there's data, if it's true, then it's true, because he absolutely didn't want that to be true about the world, of course, and none of us do. But he was he had such a bright outlook on absolutely everything. And I love that, that his last advice to artists is don't be frightened. That's always,
Do it scared.
yeah. It's been fascinating. One of our, Miss Reese, our, assistant principal, is a huge Wu-Tang fan as well. So, I had to record for her as well, because you want to see it. Yeah. All right. Anything else from the panel, or we'll go back here to the students. Questions, comments from back here? Go ahead.
I'll just say, it was awesome. Like when I first met you, whenever we were in Chicago and Econ together.
Yeah.
And I was wearing the De La Soul shoes, the Nikes.
Yes.
Like, is that De La Soul's first album on your shoes? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
That was
it
cool as heck.
I want to say it's thank you for the invitation to come see it, because it's a really interesting topic. And when I saw what your topic was, I was like, oh, I know, I gotta come see this.
Oh
This
yeah.
is really
Of
cool.
course, man.
The information was really well presented, and it was a very interesting topic, and I'm really happy because a lot of people, they don't see like the back end of all of the stuff that goes on when it comes to record labels, because it's a lot of funky stuff.
Yeah.
So as you represented so well in your presentation, but yeah, pretty much want to say it's really good, and you did a really good job. So I'm really proud of you. Good job, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Michaela? Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Oh, Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron, you can go.
Okay. Obviously I'm a fellow band kid.
Yes.
Would you say that your time in band has affected the way you look at the music industry and also the questions that you ask about it?
Definitely. Just not only, well, of course, wanting to play drums or whatever, but I've always loved music, and just even before then, I always cherished it with just dancing. That's why you always, I'm in the corner and all of a sudden I'm just like, because like the music is literally me. That, like, you cut me, I bleed music. That's literally me. So
Believe that.
Joining the band definitely helped me open up on the views and values. But yeah, it's crazy in these streets. I'm telling you.
I wish we could show you that video of him when was he about almost 2, the way he was bouncing around when y'all was over on McKeithen to the music.
Yeah.
Ever since back
Dancing.
then.
He's been making beats since
Yeah,
he could
little
walk.
boy,
Yeah.
teeny
10 and a half months.
Making noise
He
on
would
the
just
table.
stand and like with his feet, and that's how he would watch TV. He was always making beats.
That's how he goes to class, too.
He's a man over here, man.
Michaela?
With my project as well, obviously I did a lot of research. A lot of my research is on female oppression and things like that. But you have to when you're looking at systemic issues, you have to also look at race, because race is a huge point in not only against like men, but also women. So when you look at the music field, like, what do you think are things that people could specifically do to combat these systemic issues that hit them when just producing things that they love?
Sorry, I low-key blanked out a bit. Can you repeat that?
That was a big question.
When people produce music
Mhm.
in the music industry as a black creator,
Mhm.
what is something that they can do to combat the systemic things that people push on them?
I say just, I don't know, go hard, go harder than hard, because us as black people already do that in general, just to even get so high up there. But yeah, I just go at it hard, but don't be too like frightened about it. Just hard and positive, you know, because you're still trying to have fun with it. My personal view.
Can I remind you of a conversation that we had about representation and leadership, like looking for looking for labels that are black owned or black leadership
Oh yeah.
to work. I'm saying it. You say it.
Yeah. That's definitely another one that would definitely help us well. Just seeing other black people that's in the industry, that's high up there, because that also would like attract more black people or any race at
Yeah.
that.
Cool. Any other questions back here? Comments? All right. Then we get to give you a round of applause and wrap it up. So we're gonna take a couple quick pictures and I'll turn on some more lights so we can get